What's up, everybody? Welcome into the #1 Group of 5 college football show in the history of the world. This is the Group of 5 guys, and our mission is to be the voice for the Group of 5 football programs, the voice that the mainstream sports media absolutely refuses to be. We need everybody's help to do that. Hit the follow button on all the socials at Group of 5 guys. Go to YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your best podcasts. Subscribe to the channel. Leave a 5-star rating and a review. Most importantly, tell your family and friends all about us. On this episode, we are live from New Orleans. Second time this year, American Conference Championship game. We're going to talk about that. We got a special guest, maybe or maybe not. Plenty more. Hope you enjoy the show. This is the Group of 5 guys, and we are coming to you live.
They got Old Dominion week 3, and ODU is by no means a layup. Group of 5 guys told me that, so that has to be true.
We looked at each other, we was like, Mike, the best place to be is a Group of 5. So I'm sitting here with the Group of 5 guys, right?
Troy has won, it's been a winner, and it's a special place, so it's why you want the job.
But it's a ton of fun to watch a guy go to the NFL from a Nevada or a Colorado State or a Middle Tennessee or an App State, and fans follow that kid.
It was across there. You want to have this thing packed out, have the student section packed out, giving those guys hell on the sideline. I mean, that's part of it. I mean,
win or lose, like we're winning the tailgate.
There's no better place to be developed in this country than Boise State.
Well, when you come to the American Conference Championship game, you have to have the American Conference Commissioner on. Second time now, hanging out with us.
I'm a veteran of this show.
You are. You're not quite caught up to John Summerall, but maybe you will now.
Well, it's a good thing he squeezed those in when you did.
Yeah. We had to do it. Well, man, Tim, thanks for coming on. We always enjoy hanging out with you. Big game today. Hopefully you can get this rain out of here, huh?
Yeah, well, unlike most people think, you can't control everything. Yeah. But there's nothing wrong. You guys know this. You're a football guy. Nothing wrong with a little football weather for the championship game to bring another intangible into it, see how it affects the teams.
I'll tell you this. I will take this rain or anything over that business we had last year at West Point where it was, the coldest I've ever been in my life.
So you guys are definitely not from the Northeast.
You're a Northeast guy.
When I walked
Florida, California.
When I walked on the field and saw you guys last year bundled up, I was like, who are these two guys? Are they from Florida or something?
Yeah, they are. Florida and California.
Yeah, well, the teams, having played football at Rutgers when I was in college, like the teams for a December kickoff was just kind of like table stakes. We were used to it. We go out with bare arms and everything.
Well, that's why you gotta when you build your team, you got to think about that. If you're going to be playing in a conference championship or a playoff game on the road, you got to be able to run the ball or, play in this kind of stuff. So we'll see what these two got. Well, what is it, as the commissioner of the American, all year long, you've had, it's kind of rotated, but kind of the top teams in the Group of 5 looking at a playoff, you had really 5 of them till the very end of the season. What's that like for you as the commissioner?
Well, I say this all the time to people because you get a lot, as a commissioner, you get a lot of credit for a lot of things that you literally have nothing to do with. And I'm incredibly proud of how the league performed this year. And I said this at Media Day about, I just had a gut about the competitive depth of the league this year. And I think I said that term more than anything I said all year. But if you look back a few weeks, we had 6 teams that still had a shot at the conference championship game 2 weeks ago. Right. So, and I think that speaks to the competitive depth. So, we're really happy with the way the season played out. The reality of the whole Group of 5 spot in the CFP is like we've owned the conversation from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. And to have this game on this stage with 2 of our best teams, which essentially is now a play-in game for the CFP. And I just, was meeting with the media crew and the talent they're doing the game for television. There's going to be a lot of eyeballs on the American Conference. And I think it's a credit to all the schools in our league. Like, these are coaches and student athletes that are just working their tails off, and they've earned the right, to have this opportunity. I just wish we could, have more of them involved in it. Like you look at the year East Carolina had and Navy had and Memphis had. Like this league went deeper competitively this year than it ever has before.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned the coaches, of course, working hard, and obviously you got 2 of them that are coaching tomorrow that are not going to be here next year. But what's that say too about the league where you really have 4 of your top programs and their head coaches go take 4 pretty high profile jobs and But then on the other side of it, you get a place like South Florida already makes a big time, big time splash hire. So what's that say about also this league?
Well, I think people are paying attention because like the one thing we told our coaches when I started, and a lot of them are already doing it, John Summerall's a good example, is we have to schedule outside the conference, and scheduling outside the conference, competitive games, the autonomy leagues is not enough. We have to schedule them. We got to show up in those games. And I think those schools that are recruiting our coaches away are seeing the result of that and seeing what Tulane did and seeing, what Navy has done and seeing what Memphis has done. And, ironic that a couple of those schools that got beaten by our schools are recruiting our coaches. But I always look at these things as a positive. I think the easy way for the media to cover something like this is to say, all doom and gloom. And as you saw, like even with our social team, like we celebrated it. Yeah. We congratulated our coaches. We thanked the coaches for the contribution they made. The American's not in the place we're at this year without those four guys. Yeah. It's just the reality of it. So I've said this all along. I know we're the most rated conference in America in the transfer portal. Okay, not only in football, by the way, in basketball too. And now we're becoming that with coaching. It's a huge testament to the level of talent that we have in this league. Like this league is overflowing with talent. What I selfishly like to keep, like I congratulate those guys. Selfishly, I'm going to tell you guys this because I get invested in relationships. I'm a little heartbroken that the four of them are leaving because I love all four of them individually as people. But it's a great statement about what this league is. Like we are not an autonomy league, and due respect to the name of your business, like I think we're in a lane all on our own. And I think a lot of that is reinforced at times like this, but I'm going to miss these guys, all four of them, but I wish them well. And I think they're going to be incredibly successful. Like the stakes are going up a little bit, but now these jobs are elite jobs. Yep. Like if you look at the Heartline hire at USF, elite hire. Neil Brown going to North Texas, elite hire. Tulane is going to have one as well. And so is Memphis. So I think these jobs are on a different plane than they have been in the past. And I think the candidate list is going to be different than it has been in the past. And the fans are going to be happy with the result. And I don't see anything other than forward trajectory. Yeah. Like we're going to have four new coaches at four great programs, but we're just going to continue to rise the way we are.
I thought you almost slipped up and told us who those hires were going to be. I thought you might know something we don't know yet. I was like,
and you guys know we were on up to that would never happen. Come on.
Well, so what is like, you get this committee talking about the CFP every week and think what you want. We won't talk about that. We'll talk about that.
We can talk about whatever you want.
Well, in my mind, they justify, you can justify whatever you're going to put, or you can come up with any data point to support whatever your selection is. But when you have, Alabama now moving their game with South Florida, and you have this big strength of schedule argument every year, and you're getting, Tulane's getting credit for 2 Power 4 wins, but to me, no disrespect to Tulane, but a Duke and Northwestern is maybe not necessarily then beating South Florida and Navy or whoever it might be. So what's your stance on that? How do you combat that narrative that I feel like is being pushed?
I think it's really hard. And the one thing I'd say right off the bat is being on the selection committee is a hard job. And I have a lot of respect, and I have a lot of friends on the committee. And, there is this policy about lobbying, like they don't want ADs and commissioners, like people lie. And I actually stick to the policy. Like I don't talk to, outside of our designated committee reps, like how it works is every conference gets 2 reps on the committee that once the rankings start coming out in October, you talk to those reps every couple of weeks. And it's your opportunity to share information with them that they then share with the rest of the committee in writing and verbally, and just talk about where you see your league. And, we had Ivan Maisel and Mike Riley this year who are just exceptional. Like I could tell from talking to them that they were dug in on the league. They knew all the detail, all the data. Coach Riley was running off stats, like they were really dug in. But, the reality is these are human beings in the room, right? And it's an impossible job. And people think the solution is going to 16 or going to 24. But when it was 2, 3, and 4 were upset. When it was 4, 5, and 6 were upset. And at 12, 13 through 15 are upset. There's no number that solves that problem, but it is an inexact science. I would say this about the CFP Management Committee, which is all the commissioners. We spent a lot of time talking about the selection committee. Like how should it be comprised? Who should the people be? Are we giving them enough data to work with? But what I would say to everybody that's a critic of the committee is like, you got to walk a week in their shoes. Like you guys are in the media, you should do the mock selection. Like they make it available to the media. You go in and you do it. based on last year, like you're actually in the room and they run you through the process. I've done it before. It's really eye-opening to see how difficult the job is.
I mean, it looks incredibly difficult, but I just have a hard time looking at from T-ball all the way up to the NFL, where I know there's so many more programs in college football, but there's got to be a way where we can. Some of the conferences to me are too big, and you can have conference champions, all of them, I think, make the playoff, and then you have so many at large, and I think everybody would be a lot happier. I mean, at least where you win your conference and you're in. Because to me, I don't want to diminish winning your conference. I think there's a lot of foundations of college football that are being eroded year in and year out. And we keep kind of kicking the can down the road, and then everybody blames the committee. The committee they're in an impossible job. Yeah. But I think somebody, whether it's the NCAA, has to find a model that works. Because clearly, to me, it doesn't seem like the model it works. Do you have any?
Yeah, I do. I think you make all good points. The challenge with any situation like this is like it has to evolve.
Yeah.
And everybody's ready for more evolution, forgetting for a second that we've only got 1 year of data on this 12-team thing. Yeah. Right? Like, did it work? Didn't it work? The sentiment was 90-something% positive a year ago. But there is no perfect solution. I said this when I first took the job. If you really want to call it a playoff that's fully representative of conference champions, right? Because I'm with you. I think the conference championship element of the CFP should be protected, like a reward for winning your conference and being one of the 5 highest ranked conference champions. But in a scenario where you have 10 or 11, how many conferences there are, their champion gets an automatic bid, and then the at-large is whether it's +5 or it's +7 or it's +9, whatever it is, I think it feels more socially acceptable, right? The flip side of it is, and I said this at our media day, when I talked about unified media rights, like why doesn't college football go to the market as one entity and really leverage the value, which I really strongly believe in. But what I also said out of the other side was the SEC and the Big Ten, the Big 12, they deserve more of the revenue. Like they get more of the pie now, they deserve it, more exposure, more ratings, sponsorship. This is not about trying to eat off their plate. It's about trying to make the pie bigger for everyone. But I think people would gravitate towards something where every conference's champion had the ability to compete in something like this. It would also fuel greater outrage about the balance of power. Like, can we really say that a champion from each of the group of 5 leagues can be put on even par with champions from the autonomy? You'd have that debate. But to your point, where your brain is in the right places, the conversation has to continue to evolve. You read recently, right, that the decision to change the format for next year, the date to do that by December 1st is come and gone. Yeah. But ESPN has agreed to extend it to the end of January. So what'll happen Sunday is we'll have the selections and there'll be outrage and debate, and then we're going to start talking about what the format should look like in the future. But can we actually figure out the ideal format in a month? I don't think so, because we've had a year to talk about it. But until people, especially in the autonomy conferences, get more aligned on what that should look like, it's going to be harder for us to advance the ball on this thing. But here's the silver lining, and I talked to you guys off the air about this. The growth of your brand this year, okay? Ratings are up. Like the American Conference ratings on ESPN networks this year, we're up north of 20%. I worked in TV. That's a monster number, okay? Why? Because we're in the hunt for the playoff all year long. Why is your thing up? College football is more popular than it's ever been. And don't think that debates around the postseason don't have something to do with that, right? Because it's never going to be perfect. Yeah. And the more people are outraged and the more debate there is, the more people are interested in this thing. And that's not a bad byproduct of what we're doing.
I got one more question and we'll let you go. You got a lot of good food cities in your conference. Yeah. New Orleans might be the best one. It's a good one. Where does the commissioner of the American Conference eat when he comes to New Orleans?
So New Orleans is, I always say New Orleans is like Vegas. You know, and I don't love Vegas, but when I go, it's like, you got to get out of Vegas, in and out in 72 hours. Like if you stay longer, you're putting detrimental impact on yourself, mentally and physically. New Orleans is the same deal, but it's just the food. There's nothing to do with the gambling and the alcohol. It's really just the food. So there's a great place that I was at actually last night with, we've got a celebrity flipping the coin at the game. I was there with him last night to meet him, called Husky, which I would highly recommend. But I'm like an off the beaten path guy. Yeah. When I come to New Orleans, I like a sandwich, and I go to Vertimart, which if you haven't been there and had either any of the breakfast sandwiches are off the charts. There's a hot sandwich called All That Jazz, and it's like pork and shrimp and turkey. It's out of this world. And as far as the beignets go, you guys got to get that sandwich. And then everybody's like, oh, you got to go to Cafe Du Monde for beignets. Like, I've been there, and they're very good, but you'll find me at different places. Like, I like to sample them all over the city. But Vertimart, it's a hole in the wall. It looks like kind of like a bodega. It's one of the best sandwiches you'll ever have in your life.
Love it. Yeah. Write that down.
And I'm not, you were trying to fish me into a question about all the high-end places I go. I don't go high-end. I like to walk out with a plastic bag and my sandwich dripping out the side of the paper. That's my style.
I thought you were going to say something and then you were going to leave and we're like, we can't go there. I mean, we can't afford that.
You can afford Vertimart. And if you, whatever it is, I'll treat. I mean, that's how good I think it is.
So we appreciate you.
Yeah.
You guys are doing a great
Thank you,
job.
man.
I'm glad
Thank
to
you.
see
Thanks,
things
sir.
growing. Thanks for all you do for the group of five.
Yeah.
Appreciate
your
it.
support.
Same
Sweet.
here.
Awesome. I tell you, man, he always makes good points, you know? I think I know a little bit about what I'm talking about, and then I'm like, I don't know anything.
Yeah, no. What I love is, like, I don't hear too many people talking about the collective media deal, and that's something that we've talked about. And to hear him talk about it, and feels like he's pushing that, I think is a big thing. Because I think that's the direction that everything has to go. And the Big Ten and SEC, they can get a bigger piece of their pie. We're not saying they don't deserve it. That's what has been driving them. But if you look at the NFL's model, the media deal is one, and then every team can get their own, endorsement deals, advertisements, and they can use their brand to their own benefit. But you got to have the collective, so at least the playing field is at a level space.
I think too, when we were talking about the ratings and the American games going up, I think there's a piece too where you got these SEC fans, these Georgia fans, these Alabama fans that are like, well, I'm gonna watch who we might play in the first round because God knows they don't know anything about them, because if you watch the other talking heads, they're not saying anything about any of these games. They don't even know if they're playing on TV or not, according to McAfee show.
Well, not only that, is as you got towards the middle to the end of the season, you got these teams that are like, my coach is getting fired this year, so let's watch and look around the group of five and see who's the top teams. Okay, Golish, Summerall, like let's watch those games because hopefully we can grab one of them.
And you kind of want to get an idea of, it's going to be some of the same players, but a lot of the different players. You get an idea of the style of play. Like, what's our team going to look like from not from a personnel standpoint, but from what's our offensive style? What's our defense going to look like? Are we going to be throwing it 50 times? We're going to be a physical team. Is it a defensive coach? So I think that plays in a part of it. I think you're going to see some of that too, and I think that's a good thing that 4 of the 5 championship games are on Friday. So you'll get the whole world to watch them. I wish they weren't at the same time, though. We got to get that figured out.
You could have spaced them out a little bit. 6 p.m. kick, then an 8 p.m. kick, and then the Mountain West, the late
10:30,
9:30, 10 o'clock.
Yeah. I'm with you, because I mean, that's selfish. I want to be able to watch all of them. In these stadiums, you don't have any service at all, so you can hardly check scores. You can hardly watch. We'll find a spot, though. Get up here in the press box. You get a little Wi-Fi.
Maybe the Glazer Club. We'll see.
Maybe you get in there. Well, Jeff, this North Texas Tulane game, obviously you can see it's raining now. It's supposed to be raining kind of all weekend. So I think that could play a factor in it. What's your 30,000 foot view of this American championship game?
Well, I mean, it's going to be a hell of a game. I think it comes down to a couple different factors. Both coaches are leaving, so I don't think that where in years past we've been worried about the letdown. I think they're both kind of dealing with it. Haven't heard a ton from North Texas's players, but I got to Sam Howard talked about how this is a player-ran team, and it's a lot of things that Summerall echoes. But he's like, we know Coach loves us. He wants to win. We want to win. We want to send him out the best way we can. So I don't think there's going to be any of that. To me, it's, can Tulane get pressure on Messmaker?
Yeah.
If he can get to his second and third progression, it's going to be a hard, difficult for those DBs to cover for that long, because they just have too much talent offensively. The Mean Green does. So, and then flip side, how Tulane can come away with this win, I think, is you got to control time of possession. You cannot turn it over, because if you give that offense extra possessions, those are going to be touchdowns, if not field goals. And I don't think that they can go score for score with this North Texas offense. So, take a page out of the academy book.
Yeah.
Control time of possessions, keep it close, turnovers, get a chance in the fourth quarter, and you can come away with a win.
Yeah, you got to get 6. And when Tulane moves the ball, and that's been something they've struggled with all season long. So I think the rain could play a factor. I think in a couple different ways. One, might affect this crowd or lack thereof. If it's like this, I mean, your students will probably show up if they're nice and liquored up, from all day. But the rest of the folks, maybe not. But on the field, probably benefits Tulane.
I would say
because of the styles of play. Now, North Texas, I've talked about this all season long. They beat you so many different ways. It can be mess to maker and those receivers, or they can feed Caleb Hawkins all day long, and he's just fine. He's leading the country, I think, in rushing touchdowns or close to it.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to be, it might be a factor. Now, it might clear up an hour before kickoff, and none of this matters at all. We might get a great crowd, maybe not. But looking forward to it. Looking forward to all these games. I'm looking forward to spending some time in New Orleans, getting some oysters here, and getting Vertimart. We got to find that. I hope you wrote that down, Producer Ben, because
sandwich sounded incredible.
A sandwich sounded phenomenal. Well, so you mentioned the coaches, right? So you have this game, but then in the Sun Belt too, you have James Madison, who's your other. Those are the 3 teams that are still realistically alive in a playoff scenario. You could maybe say UNLV or Boise. Maybe. I think that's very unlikely. But, James Madison without, a coach or a coach that's leaving. And, I almost feel like it's in a weird way, I feel like Tulane's been dealing with this. Like ever since Summerall got here, it was like when's he going to Kentucky? Or when's he going to Auburn? Or when's he going here? When's he going there? So, I don't know. And then last year, of course, they had the distraction of the quarterback. North Texas, maybe this is a new-ish thing for them, but they don't seem to have, maybe it's because we live in the Southeast, but they don't seem to have the media talking about Eric Morris as much. Maybe it's because Oklahoma State is not as high profile as a Florida. And then for James Madison, that just happened.
Yeah.
So, it's you never know, man. You never know what. I've never been, number one, good enough to make an impact on a college team. But number two, like where it's a part of it, you like to think that, when the whistle blows, like you're just out there playing. I've always sort of felt that way about whether it's a big game or a loud crowd. Like after that first couple plays, you settle in and you kind of forget about all the outside noise and all of those things. So I think with the coaches, I don't think it's going to play as big of a factor. Now the weather, now the crowd, it's cold up in Harrisonburg. It can be cold in Boise.
Yeah.
It can be indoor in the MAC. Of all conferences,
I know.
to play inside the MAC.
Yeah, let's probably
you get that thing
degrees up there.
I think you got to get that thing at Lambeau Field.
That would
be
incredible.
And you the frozen tundra, and you get that thing going. But South Florida hires a coach, Brian Hartline, Ohio State offensive coordinator. I mean, that's a name that you've been hearing. I've been hearing for a couple years for, major P4 high profile jobs. And you get that guy down at South Florida. He's known as a phenomenal recruiter. Plus, Jeff, former Miami Dolphin.
I already knew that.
You want to talk about you thought I was on the South Florida Bulls bandwagon before. My God, Jeff. I mean, Hartline, I've always liked Brian Hartline. I have a little soft spot for the guy.
They have the resources. You talked about his phenomenal recruiting record. I think it's a perfect fit. I think it's a splash hire.
Yep.
And then, like Pernetti mentioned, Neil Brown to North Texas. We know what his time at Troy. Everybody at Troy loved him.
Yeah.
So I think that was a great hire. And then, we'll see what Memphis and Tulane end up doing. But he alluded to Tulane having a big. I don't know if you caught that.
Well, I almost thought he was going to say like he knew who both of them had. I don't know. Maybe he does. Maybe he doesn't.
Sound like it.
We'll see. But it's interesting when you look at these programs, you have to decide because Brian Hartline, right? He goes to South Florida, and they keep it rolling. He's out of there. He'll take the next big opening, and so you wonder how difficult it is to sustain that when you've had places. You look at App State, for example, right? Did like 3 coaches in a row, year after year, Sun Belt champs, 11-1, 10-2, 12-0, and then it kind of caught up to them. Now it's a different landscape. You get NIL, you get the portal, you got all these things. So now a place like South Florida can just continue the recruiting and the relationship side of recruiting, I think, is lessened, unfortunately, but it's the world we live in. So these places like Memphis, like South Florida, like Tulane, North Texas, probably not quite there with the resources and the NIL, but maybe could get there. You win this one, and you'll get some, you'll get some extra resources. But just what do you want, and how long can it sustain? Or do you want a guy that's like, hey, I want to be here forever? And sometimes that might mean you're an 8-9 win team every year, you're competitive every year, but you're not getting over the hump, and that's when the fans get frustrated.
Well, I think as you've seen the coaches embrace the portal, really the only way you can not get, you're always attached to your players, but you can't get angry at them when they leave. I think programs have to do the same and understand that if I get 2-3 great years out of this coach, that's only going to continue to build the value and everything else in my program. So hire the best that you can, that you think is going to be able to flip a roster, number one, and number two, build a culture. And if you're able to keep him longer than 3-4 years, if he's successful, great. Then that's just icing on the cake.
Yeah.
But, as we've seen, a lot of the top coaches already off the board, so to speak. We're going to see some FCS guys that we've, some have never heard of.
Yeah.
We talked about him in New Mexico potentially.
Yeah.
In a year or two being kind of in the next wave. So we'll have to wait and see, but there's still plenty of jobs open at this point too.
Well, and you're going to get some retreads, which typically, I'm anti a little bit. It depends. I'm not saying a guy that, if Summerall goes to Florida and 3 years it's not working out, and they come on back, buddy.
Yeah.
But when you have sometimes you want to hire a guy that I don't know, maybe older, maybe kind of been through it all, and you're just looking for a place to settle in and retire. Not really into that. But rumor is Billy Napier now, James Madison, one of the candidates there. You got a guy like Hugh Freeze out there. That would be a splash hire.
Yeah.
You got some names that have had the high profile jobs, have had success, and so we'll see what happens, man. But it's fun because you get that you're a little heartbroken when they leave, but then the next guy comes in and you're now excited about that one too.
Well, to some of the fans, not all of them. Some of them, as we saw with the Florida fans, they didn't want Summerall to even get off the plane.
And then they flipped it real quick the minute they heard him talk.
Yeah.
Because apparently, according to some, Tulane never played on TV or anything like that.
The Arkansas Razorback fans didn't quite get that same reaction, kind of favoring Silverfield like Florida fans now are with Summerall.
So they flipped and went.
They didn't really want Silverfield, and they're still unsure about him after his first press conference. Well, at least on the Twitter sphere and social media.
Well, he's not this is a topic for another day, but he's not a rah-rah guy.
Yeah, 100%.
He's just not.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's had success, so you can think what you want. I don't know him, so I couldn't. Yeah. I'm not going to speak for anything, but you can get a gauge how the Memphis folks felt about him.
Yeah.
But like Tim said, I mean, Arkansas just watched Memphis beat them. Yeah. So you know what I'm saying?
Hire their coach.
So it's interesting. And Arkansas is not the level of job as Florida or Auburn or any of those places. I mean, I can't think of the last time they've had, a ton of success. Darren McFadden,
they run DMC,
Felix Jones.
That's about it.
Good ball club, and they still win much. Well, Jeff, do you think, one more question before we get into these 5 games, any scenario at all where, let's say Virginia beats Duke, okay, because we're all rooting for Duke on Saturday. Let's say Virginia beats Duke, they're going to get in. Is there any scenario where you think a James Madison could jump either of these two here?
I don't think so. I think the committee's made it pretty clear on, with the strength of schedule argument, especially.
Yep.
And quite frankly, they're just disdain for the Sun Belt, I feel like. From the start of the season, media-wise, to now the end of the season, it's been the Americans been the front runner. And as long as they have a credible champion, they'll be the one in. So unfortunately for the Dukes, I don't think so. But there's a very realistic chance that the Duke Blue Devils beat Virginia.
Duke to help the Dukes. How about that, huh?
Darian Mensah, full circle.
Wouldn't that be something?
Saving
Wouldn't
what
that
he did
be
to
something?
Tulane in the group of 5, but just giving him a little.
Just one more
help.
one more, one more hand on the way out
Figure it
there
out.
from Darian Mensah. Well, so let's talk about these games. Starting the MAC, Saturday game in the Dome, Western Michigan, Miami. We've talked about it all year long. Miami just every year start the season where they start 0-3, and then they rattled off 4 or 5 in a row, and they just seem to find themselves in championship contention at the end of the season every year, no matter what. They played earlier in the year. DeQuan Finn was the quarterback, not even on the roster anymore. So you got Gutkowski now playing quarterback. He's got he may not be as talented as DeQuan Finn, but he's got, I hate to say it, you know what I mean? He's got that moxie, he's got that swagger about him. They seem to rally around him a little bit. But to me, this is defense. Both of these two teams. Western Michigan has played phenomenal defense all year long. They gave this North Texas team everything early in the season. And then Miami, Chuck Martin defense, you talked about, Corbin Hondrew all year long.
Love Corbin Hondrew. That guy's a heat missile for the football.
Yeah.
Always around it. I mean, you have the 2 of the top teams in the MAC going at it. And then you look at Western Michigan, throwing the ball really hasn't been their calling card this year. Brock Lowry's been great. He's leading the team in rushing. And then you got Jalen Buckley. So you have that 2-headed monster there. I'm just of the thought process that when you are pretty much one-dimensional, for the most part, on offense, it makes it a whole lot easier for a great defense to game plan against you.
Yeah.
And then Gutkowski, the last 2 games he's played 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. So he's played well. Great skill. Cam Perry on the outside, great running backs. Like Miami feels to me like the more complete team. And then you have the Chuck Martin pedigree, and I think you got to give so much credit to Chuck Martin for losing what he loses every single year in the portal. And to graduation, and then just coming back and just finding a way to get in the MAC championship. Shout out to Coach Martin.
Well, man,
and I think it's going to be a great game. I haven't looked at what the over/under is, but even though it's in a dome, I'm thinking
43.5, I believe.
It's low, but I wouldn't be surprised.
43.5.
I wouldn't be surprised. I'd seriously look at taking that under.
Well, you got to give credit to Chuck Martin and that whole locker room, because whatever the situation was with DeQuan Finn, it was an issue. Whatever the situation, whether it was his fault or not, if you have a quarterback that leaves the team with a couple weeks left in the season, there's a problem happening in that locker room. And credit to them to be able to win the games that they won while dealing with it. And then he leaves, and they almost turn it up a notch.
Really do.
And so that's where I lean Miami a little bit. But then you look at Western Michigan, and they've been the best team in the MAC all year long.
Just found ways to win. And that's a testament of a great team.
Yeah.
Whether it's you beat a team by 20 or you beat them by 3, it doesn't matter. You get the W, and Western Michigan has done that, and it's been led by their defense.
Yeah.
I just think this is going to be a physical,
I can't wait.
Downhill type of game by both programs.
Yeah.
And it always comes down to who can not turn the ball over.
Yeah.
In this game especially, because you give it to the Red Hawks, or you give an extra possession to the Broncos.
Yeah.
That's going to be the ballgame. It's going to be that close, I think.
But you're leaning Miami. I think I'm leaning Miami also.
But I had Western Michigan was my dark horse now at the beginning of the season. So if they win, I'll be happy too. But I'm just leaning just a little bit, I think.
And then you go over to Conference USA. Rematch of what we went to.
Incredible.
Great environment. I hope. It looks like that's going to be the best weather of the weekend is in Jacksonville, Alabama. Kennesaw State, going back to Jacksonville, the rematch. The most difficult thing to do in all of sports is to beat a good team twice. Now, you go back and you watch that game, especially the first half. We're there. We're talking amongst each other saying, Kennesaw's good.
Yeah.
Amari Odom's a good player. But he made, out of whatever they ran, 30-something, 40 plays, he made 3 really bad decisions, and it cost them the game. But outside of that, they probably outplayed Jacksonville State, especially in the first half. But to outplay them, but you're down 2 scores, and then you give up that You call it fluky, but
the Hail Mary that got tipped and right before halftime too. So you not only had the red zone turnovers, you had the fluky play that just sucked all the life out of you. And then they came back in the second half and
still made a run.
Tried to make a run. So, man, this is a coin flip game to me. I think for Jack State, obviously you got Cam Cook, who's one of the top rushers in the entire country. Caden Creel, I thought, played one of the best games I've seen him play this year against Kennesaw State. He's going to have to do that again.
Yep.
He's going to have to make big-time throws and not just solely rely on his legs because I think this Owl offense is potent, and you better believe they have put an emphasis on not turning it over in the red zone specifically because you're taking points off the board. That'd be 9 points.
Yeah.
Right there if you just eliminate those turnovers.
At least.
That's what I'm saying, at least. So, and it could have been more. So I think this is a coin flip game. Jack State record at home is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
It's something like 11-0 or something crazy in that state of games at home. So I don't know. I'm thinking. I just have a feeling. I think Kennesaw State, man. Jerry Mack and what he's been able to do. Like I'm leaning Kennesaw. I don't have a reason why, other than the game we saw a couple weeks ago. That was all the Owls. They gave it away. So if they can clean that up, I think their offense is a little bit more explosive.
Two things. One, I cannot believe that we're not hearing Jerry Mack's name more again, no disrespect to Kennesaw, but with these jobs like Memphis and Tulane open, I can't believe we're not hearing his name more. We sort of disrespected Jacksonville State, I feel like, in our preseason Conference USA discussion.
Just had so many new pieces. That's the only thing I'll say about that. It's hard to you have that many new guys and a coach.
I will also say I did not understand the depth of their support in that community until we got up there. I got up there twice and saw it. And I think they've played the best. They've been the best team in that conference all year long. Yes, they lost to FIU, who had a much better season. That made them have to beat Western Kentucky last week. But they've been the best team in this conference all year long. They forced Amari Odom, sure, made some bad decisions, made some turnovers. But Jacksonville State forces some turnovers too now.
Yeah, they do.
They run the ball better than anybody in the conference. And like you said, Creel played a pretty good game. I think that crowd is going to play a factor. You know, you're playing on Friday, so nobody's going to be worried about somebody up the road. On either side.
Yeah, no question.
On either side of this. So I think Kennesaw will bring a nice contingent again. Maybe they'll bring the band. I don't know. Will they put the band up in the corner again? I don't know. I got to go Jacksonville State. I think they're the better team. And I think they've been the better team all year long. And I think they deserve to win it. Now, whether or not they do.
Look, I'm probably helping Jack State by picking Kennesaw in this game. So you're welcome.
They got a sports book at the Caesars here in New Orleans?
Well, they sure do, pal.
Be there tonight. Mountain West, UNLV and Boise. I almost said San Diego State and New Mexico because
how do we get
the other two teams? UNLV, man, they're 10-2. It's one of those teams that's funny because I'll never forget the preseason. Many people had them as, the G5 rep or, had them in the playoff for UNLV. I think a lot of that was, the Dan Mullen name and all his coworkers, from ESPN and all that. And then they looked terrible against Idaho State in week 0, and yet they just kept winning. Now, they played Boise, though, this season, and Boise beat them the way Boise always beats them. Mm-hmm. So that's what worries me for UNLV. It's in Boise. So, again, I've said this now, I think 3 times. Before they played San Diego State, I said, somebody in the Mountain West has got to knock out Boise State. And then San Diego State beat them. And I'm like, okay, somebody finally knocked them to the canvas. But then a couple weeks later, you're like, oh, Boise's right back in this thing.
Still in it.
Somebody's got to knock out Boise. And they just, is frustrating as they've been to watch at times, they're always there. And I think there's a mental block, especially with UNLV, going back to last year, where you lost to them twice. Yeah. Now, Ashton Genty's not walking through that door. But the game they played earlier in the year was the Dylan Riley game. It was the game when we were like, oh, thank you, Boise State, for running the ball. And UNLV, they've struggled defensively. Now, they can outscore anybody. But I think there's something mental there, man, that's got me leaning Boise State. Again, Their fans are going to be upset. They think it's their worst year they've had, and yet they're going to be conference champions again.
Which is crazy if you look at the totality of their season. But to me, it comes down to a couple factors. Calandria has been incredible. He's the Mountain West Offensive Player of the Year. He has got to be incredibly special in this game because for the lack of Boise State offense, their defense is really good. Yeah. They can get after the quarterback. They can cover on the back end. But UNLV has never beat Boise in Boise, Idaho.
They can't do it.
And you take a dome team. I think there's something to it. You take a dome team and you put them outside in cold weather that they're not, I don't want to say they're not used to it, but it's a different element. You play half your games indoor, and then the other ones you play, outdoor. And at times they've struggled this year when they've been outdoors. So I picked Boise at the beginning of the year.
I know. This is the one we're going to get right, and they've been the worst.
I'm going to stick with it. But man, I love what this Rebel team has done this year. I love watching Calandria. He's been one of my favorite quarterbacks to watch all year. And then Jet Thomas and all the weapons they have at the outside. I just hope this is a fun, let's score 70 points type of Mountain West game. Because the last one, Boise had it, and they pretty much dominated.
It was ugly last year when they played in this championship game. Now, it was miserably cold last year. And, of course, Genty, ran it all over the place. And UNLV couldn't score the way that they can score this year. A little different style of play, of course, Dan Mullen versus Barry Odom. But I'm leaning Boise. You look at the Sun Belt, this is the biggest spread of the weekend of all conferences. James Madison, heavy favorites. I think it's up to 23.5 or 24.5 now. Troy, though, they always, I mean, look at Troy this year, right? You lose to a really good Memphis team, not by a ton.
Yeah.
You lose to Clemson. You should have beat Clemson. And I know Clemson's down, but, everybody wants to talk about strength of schedule and this and that. They still got the same guys.
No question.
They just didn't put it together this year. James Madison, though, man, they are on a mission, I feel like. You look at the way that they smoked Coastal last week. Now, I know they got the coaching change now, so maybe there's a little wrinkle in there. But I just think, man, they're too good defensively. They're like Troy was 3 years ago when they were just too good defensively. You couldn't do anything about it, even if they only score 17 points. What's Troy's offense going to be able to do against this defense?
Yeah, Troy's offensive line at certain times throughout the year has really struggled, especially to run the ball. And I feel like they have to run the ball to be successful. It's just going to be very difficult against that front seven. Goose Crowder is back. See how he can continue to progress after coming off, that injury. I just think the Dukes have too much. I think offensively, defensively, and I've said this for the last 5 weeks. Some of the Tulane fans don't like it. I think James Madison is the most complete team when you look at from all three phases of the game. I think offensively, defensively, special teams, I think they're the most complete team. Now, they're not going to make the playoff unless Duke wins. But if they get the chance to run it up, I think on Troy, I make a statement to try and potentially leapfrog somebody, they're going to try.
Yep.
Now, I don't know if Troy lets that happen because you got to give
Troy's
so
a
much
good team
credit.
now. Let's not,
You got to give so much credit to Coach Parker, those coaches, those players. Tate Meadows has been had a phenomenal season this year. So I don't think it's going to get to that point. I think it's going to be closer. I think it'll be right around that 23 points, but I think it'll happen maybe late.
I think so too.
I don't anticipate a blowout.
I think this is a 35-13 kind of game, and maybe that 35 gets 28-13 all game long, and then they score late and put it away. But yeah, I mean, I just think they're too good. They're too good, especially defensively with Hendrick, Bush, who we've been talking about all year long.
Bush. Harrisonburg is a different animal, and we wanted to get there, and we will get there. I think at the beginning of next season, potentially.
We're looking at
there,
it.
but that plays a factor in too, man. That home crowd's special. They do a great job of packing that stadium.
Yep.
And I think.
Well, and they got it's a Barstool guy is like the PFT commenter. Was that his
coin? Is he coin flipping or doing
the yell? I don't know if he's flipping the coin.
I don't know. He was doing something.
Yeah, he's doing something pregame. This one here, North Texas, Tulane. The two teams that came out of it, right? I mean, everybody, if you ask South Florida or Navy or not Navy, but Memphis fans, they'll say, North Texas didn't play. Play who you play, and when you beat everybody the way they've beaten everybody, they damn sure deserve to be in. And then, Navy had a bit of an argument, right? Because they didn't play Tulane, and Navy is one that they lost to Notre Dame, but Horvath didn't even play.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about one of the best players, not only on the team, but in this conference, in the country, did not play that game. It's another argument, by the way, if you're an Alabama or Miami fan watching and you want to know why Notre Dame don't deserve to be in, they beat Navy without their quarterback, all right? But Navy had an argument. But here's what we have. We have Tulane in North Texas. We have rain. We have this offense of North Texas that can score so many different ways. They got 3-4 receivers. They got obviously the quarterback, and then they got Caleb Hawkins, the running back. They can all do it. They can all put up big numbers any given week. They're impossible to stay with. However, Tulane, go back and look at that Duke game a little bit. This is kind of what it reminds me of. Now, Duke, I don't think is as good offensively as North Texas by any means, but you have a good, Mensa's a good quarterback, okay? You got some good players on that Duke team, some good athletes. But the way Tulane was able to control that game and the way they were able to cover up the back end, we talked about that when we were here. They got close a couple times to Mensa, but I don't think they ever sacked him. Maybe once.
Yeah.
You've got to get to Mestamaker. Got to. If you give that guy 10, they have too many weapons. I don't think Tulane can cover it all up on the back end. Now, if they get to him, it'd be just fine. Tulane's a great chance to win if that's the case.
Yeah, the Tulane defense has got to win on first down because this North Texas offense is predicated of a big chunk play. And by chunk, I mean 5, 6, 7 yards on first down, because then you're in second and medium, third and short, and your whole playbook's open.
Yep.
And then, yeah, you mentioned it. That front seven, whether it's Sam Howard coming off the edge, Moreland coming off, like they have got to get to Mestamaker. I just think they really need to take a page out of the Academy playbook on this one, because you have Retzlaff, you have the stable of running backs, and the young kid who's really emerged this second half of the season, like control time of possession. Retzlaff, I think, for the most part, has played pretty smart all year throwing the ball.
Yeah.
Hasn't turned it over a ton. Now, they're going to have to take their vertical D shots to keep the North Texas defense, which, again, is also top of this conference, which is very, very good.
Mm-hmm.
But when you add that quarterback run game, you pick up the extra blocker in the running back, you put a defensive end or a D tackle in a read position, like they are going to have to strategically game plan to control time of possession, not to turn it over, because you want to keep this game as close as possible into the fourth quarter, and then that gives you a chance. Because if North Texas gets up early by 2 or 3 scores, I'm not sure that Tulane has the offensive firepower to score quick enough to get back into it. Because now your defense has all the pressure, and it's like, we have to stop them. They cannot score.
Yep, that's what I'm worried about for Tulane is you have that pressure of it might be the second quarter. I mean, that could happen early.
Yeah.
And you might be thinking, well, we're down 2 scores. We have to score here. We have to stop them here. And I don't know if you can. I mean, I don't know how many times you're going to be able to stop North Texas. Now,
if that does happen,
if it's raining.
Yeah. You never know with the rain. But if that does happen, what they can't do from an offensive play call, they cannot panic. They got to be like Army. Because Army, what they do, they might be down by 14. They're just going to continue to do it, because what it does is it slows that offense. You have to keep this North Texas offense on the sideline. That's where they can't hurt you. So even if you're down by 14 or down by 17, like you got to stick to the game plan. And then, man, you pop one big, and now you're down by 10 or down by 7. And now you're right back in it. Keep Mestamaker, keep Wyatt Young, keep Hawkins, all those guys right there on the sideline, because that you're safe there. So don't, if you get down, don't panic. Stick to the game plan and just do it moving.
Who are you leaning here, Jeff?
All week I've been leaning North Texas. I have. But I don't know if it's just something about pulling into New Orleans.
Oh, no.
Smelling the seafood, the beignets. He's talking about the sandwiches. Great.
We're going there, by the way.
Down here in New Orleans. I think I'm going to ride with the home team. I think Summerall and his players and that connection, they want to send this team out the right way, and they want to make the playoff. Summerall talked about that when he came here.
He did.
I think he wants to deliver on his promise. I'm going to roll with the green wave. Roll wave.
We saw last week Tulane look not great against a bad Charlotte team. You saw North Texas score 50-something points. Just like that. No problem. I think, man, I hate to say it because I know where we are, and I know, somebody's going to have something to say probably later. I I don't see it, dude. I think North Texas is going to be able to score too many times, and it's not necessarily that Tulane's defense is not good or not capable. I just think North Texas offenses, they're firing on all cylinders, man. They have been. Now, again, if it's like this, North Texas will be just fine. If it's pouring rain like it was on the drive in. By the way, Jeff, can I say something?
Yeah, go for
I
it.
got new wiper blades on my truck. Scrub blade. Never seen them before. Scrub blade. I mean, I've had Rain X. I've had Michelin, Goodyear. The scrub blade. I mean, that thing was no squeak, no nothing. I mean, just flinging the rain off the thing.
Scrub blade.
Scrub blade windshield wipers.
Free shout out, right?
If you're looking at this. But if it's raining like that, then I think I would change my opinion a little bit. But right now I'm leaning North Texas, and I would be very excited to see this North Texas offense get a chance at a Texas Tech or an Ole Miss or whoever it might be. I think that'd be a really fun game, actually, a North Texas Ole Miss with high-powered offenses. But, hey, taking North Texas, sorry, Tulane fans, you can meet me at the Vertimart in about an hour. How's that? Well, man, Jeff, it's our last, preview. Well, now we'll be previewing a playoff game.
Yeah. And we got Army-Navy.
We got Army-Navy next week. Army-Navy should we'll talk about that. Last time I brought that up to Tim Pernetti, he put me in my place real quick.
He did. He didn't like it.
So I won't say that again. But no, 5 really good games to watch, man. And then we can watch freaking Duke and Virginia Saturday night. All eyes on the ACC. The ACC ratings, and people are going to be, why is everybody watching the ACC? This terrible game that everybody's talking about. But
James Madison Faithful.
And the James Madison Faithful, you need to take your talents from Harrisonburg right down to Charlotte immediately with Blue Devil streamers, dude. Ain't no doubt about it. Well, look, if you like the show, make sure you follow on all the social platforms at Group of Five Guys. Go to YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, the Believe Network, wherever you get your best podcasts. Subscribe to the channel, leave a 5-star rating and a review. Tell your family and friends all about us. Can't thank Tulane and Jason and everybody for having us again. Can't thank the American Commissioner, Tim Pernetti, enough, and all his folks, Tom, for setting that up. Again, love it. We will see you at game time.